All right. So what is it? Norchini?
Norchini.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Welcome back to a brand new show of No One Cooks Like My Mom. Today we are cooking with Gwen, who's making norchini, a delicious pasta dish that was taught to her by her Italian father. Gwen has created her own version of this specialty dish that includes chicken sausage, green onions, mushrooms, and you'll just have to watch to see what else she puts in it. I love going to Gwen's house because she always serves me wine. Her lovely daughter, Natalie, is in town visiting from San Diego, and the three of us are going to have a wonderful Sunday together.
Sometimes called Norchina in a restaurant, but we've always called it Norchini.
And your father showed you how to make this.
Sort of, yeah, and it's adapted over the years, so.
All right,
yeah.
So let's see it. So we're gonna start with your sausage, right?
Yep.
Okay. We got the water boiling here.
Yep, for our pasta.
Awesome.
Naturally. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the casings off the sausages. And you can use any kind of sausage you like. I like to use chicken that's already been seasoned. So this is like seasoned chicken sausage. You can use any kind of sausage you want. It's just you just have to take the casings off. Because then we're going to cook it and crumble it.
I'm assuming you got olive oil here?
Yes, there's already olive oil in the pan, and that's just to keep the sausages from sticking.
I'm loving this red wine.
I mean, the kids had this when they were babies. You know, even when they were really little, I would just take it and put it in a food processor.
Oh my gosh.
I gave my kids everything, you know, and the other thing I did with them too is I always just put the food on the table and said, this is the dinner.
Right.
You don't want to eat it, then don't eat it. But you're not eating anything else. This is the dinner.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening with kids. It's like they're just
yeah, too many choices.
Yeah, they're dictating what they eat, and
they're like little dictators.
And my mom was like, "This is your dinner. That's it.
This is it. This is what you're eating for dinner. You don't like it?
You don't have to eat.
You don't need to eat.
You can cook your own dinner."
Right.
Does Natalie know how to make this dish now?
She does,
Good.
for the most part. Yeah. Sometimes she'll call and ask me, "Mom, do I do this first or?" So, because I'm a big believer in not using 50 pans when I cook something.
So easy. It's like a one dish meal.
Yes.
Yay! We'll have one dish meals.
Well, it's a 2-dish meal because you'd have to do the pasta, but.
Oh, I see. But you said it's already seasoned, so we don't need to season it anymore.
No, not the meat, anyways.
Good.
So, when we move on to the sauce, we're going to add garlic and we're going to add some pesto. So it'll be double seasoned because the meat's seasoned already, and you don't have to buy it that way, but you can. Okay, we're going to start the pasta while the meat is going to be browning. So I just toss it in.
And we're using rigatone pasta? Okay. And
You can use anything.
But you prefer this one?
I like to pick pasta that has holes in it, or
Yes.
it's got a lot to catch the meat and the sauce.
And that's the full package, right?
Yep, I put the whole package in.
Easy. Easy breezy. And in the meantime, more wine.
I use wine when I cook, and sometimes I put it in the food. Sometimes.
This is my kind of house.
It's just going to be chunky bits when it's done, so.
I love stainless steel pans.
God, these pans are old.
But they're the best. They don't make them like this anymore.
Yeah. I don't even know if they make this brand anymore.
Alright, smells good.
I'm going to turn it down a little bit, just because I don't want it to be all over the bottom of this pan.
You had it on what, medium or high before?
Like medium-high. Which is fine, but I don't want it like all over the bottom of the pan because we're going to use the pan. We're going to keep using this pan. Right?
Yes.
So yeah, my dad taught me how to cook, and he taught me basically this recipe. And he had 9 brothers and 3 sisters, I think. It's a very large family, and they were all in the military, all of them. Most of them wound up in the Navy, and a couple of the brothers actually ended up on the same ship, and I don't remember the name of the ship, and they were cooks on the ship. And so they learned most of what they knew from their mother and their father growing up, but they also learned quite a few shortcuts and, you know, interesting little things. Like, I grew up eating, excuse the language, on a shingle, which is basically chipped beef or liver, creamed on toast. And we thought that was like, you know, a delicacy in our house because my dad made it. I didn't realize it at the time because I was just a kid. I just thought everybody ate like that. But we had gourmet meals almost all the time. And every meal he made always came with a full salad. It was always a meat, a starch, a vegetable, and a salad. And it was always on the table. We always ate together. Every once in a while my parents would go out and have date night. They didn't call it date night back then, but that's what they would do. And we would have Chef Boyardee ravioli. And that was like a big, like, wow, we get this out of a can. It never happens. We thought it was great because it never happened.
Right.
So it was very rare. But yeah, he did all the cooking and he did quite a job at it. Even my lunches for school were crazy gourmet. He would make cream cheese and olive sandwiches. He would do soft shell crab sandwiches. The claws would be sticking out of the French baguette that it was on, and yeah, it was crazy. My mother never set foot in the kitchen.
Right, I remember you telling me that. Well, you got saved by your dad because if it wasn't for your dad,
yeah, we would starve.
You would have been a TV dinner mom with Natalie too.
Exactly.
Is this done?
I think so.
Okay, so we've been cooking this for about 20 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna check this too because this is getting there.
So I'm assuming we're waiting for al dente.
Yep. So we'll just take one of these out so we can give it a taste. See if it's ready. And we're gonna turn this off momentarily so I can take it out of the pan.
It smells great.
Okay, so this is gonna go here and we're just gonna drain off
the grease.
Yes.
We're gonna degrease
the yucky
it.
stuff.
But God, grease is great too.
I
know. Some of us like a greasy.
There's going to be a little bit left in the pan, and we're going to keep using this pan.
I love it.
This is fully cooked, so it won't be cross-contaminated.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to set this aside.
Okay. So we have here, what, 10 ounces of mushrooms?
10 ounces of mushrooms. This is about 10 large green onions, diced.
We have some pesto sauce here that you just bought in the store.
Yeah.
We're not gonna slave over this in the kitchen.
That's a whole other recipe.
Right. So what do we have, like about...
About 2 tablespoons.
2 big tablespoons, maybe like 2.5. And then we have
And that's 3 hefty cloves of garlic.
Chop them up.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have like 2 big sticks of butter going on in the pan?
Yeah, like a big, this is probably about 2 tablespoons of butter.
Great.
So we're gonna cook the garlic in the butter for a bit.
Yum.
And then we're gonna add our green onions.
Okay.
And then we're gonna add our pesto. And then we'll add our mushrooms last. My dad taught me how to cook many dishes, and I would just sit on the counter and he'd actually give me wine mixed with like root beer or orange soda, or you'd be amazed what he would mix wine with. And he taught me how to do a lot of dishes, and I just sit there and watch, and there was no recipe for anything. He'd just make it.
No measurements.
Yeah, but sadly he died when I was 25, so I wish I had paid attention more. I tell kids all the time, pay attention. Because you think you've got all this time and you can write it down later on, and you never know. So there were a couple things he made, like he'd make brajol, and I didn't pay attention close enough. I can't replicate that recipe because I didn't pay attention.
Okay, now we got the green onions.
Now we're putting in the green onions, and this is a lot of green onions. It's about 10 nicely sized green onions.
Okay.
We're gonna let this cook down a little bit.
So, I'm really glad you said that, because I just think that people think that their parents are just, you take your parents for granted.
They're gonna be there forever, and I just thought I had time.
And then they're gonna always cook for you. And like, for example, my mom, she's been cooking for over 50 years, and she doesn't cook as much anymore. She's tired. She's like over it, right?
Right.
So
you have to coerce her into cooking.
I have to be super nice to her. Like, for my birthday, she'll make me my tacos, because that's what I love. Like, that's her best. And for Christmas, I have to wait for the tamales, because she only makes them for Christmas. Right. And it's just, those 2 dishes are so time consuming. But I'm now finally learning my mom's dishes, because if she goes, those recipes die with her.
The other thing too is, when he was sick, I didn't ask him to cook. I didn't ask him because I didn't want to give him a license to let go. And now I tell people that are in similar circumstances, I say, you know what? Don't do that. You're not giving them a license to let go. So, but that's how I saw it at the time, and I had no one to give me any advice. So I didn't press him for anything, and now I'm regretting that I did it. I didn't press him for anything. So that's a super serious, somber thought, but it's true. Okay, so now we're going to add the pesto.
Okay.
So there's a lot of garlic in this because there's also garlic in pesto. And pesto could be a whole other cooking lesson. Right. I mean, if you did everything homemade from start to finish.
Oh, you've never finished.
Yeah, it'd be like crazy. Like the pasta, you could do homemade pasta.
You'd be hangry by the time you eat dinner.
Yeah. So we're gonna let this cook down a little bit.
And your mom, she scored because...
She's so scored.
She's so scored with your dad?
Oh, in more ways than one. He treated her like a princess.
Oh, wow.
And she never cooked. She never shopped.
What?
She didn't have to shop. He did all the shopping because he did all the cooking.
He must have loved it. He must have loved it.
He did love it, actually. He totally loved it. To him, it wasn't a burden.
And your mom loved it.
Work, and it was like his outlet.
That's great.
He loved it. Okay, so now we're going to add all these lovely mushrooms.
Yay!
I'm a big mushroom fan.
Oops. Should we throw that in there?
Yeah, it's clean.
I love mushrooms too.
And these, it seems like, oh my gosh, that's too many mushrooms. But when they cook, they cook down.
They will wilt down.
So the main ingredients are just sausage, green onion, and mushroom. And the rest of it's just, flavor and, we're going to add some red sauce in the end.
What kind?
And again, you could make that homemade. And when I do make homemade sauce, and it takes me a whole day to do it.
Wow.
Because it has to cook. So, and when I make red sauce, I make more than I need, and then I freeze it, because then when you defrost it and recook it, it's actually better.
Wow. But today we're just using store-bought red sauce.
Yeah, we're just going to do a simple sauce so that we don't have to do all that. That's crazy. Okay, let this cook a little bit. Okay, this pasta's done. I let it all go.
Okay.
And some things that you cook, you do, but we don't need to for this dish. Over. And this is really just to get it to stop cooking.
Yes.
We like it the way it is, and we don't want it to cook anymore.
That's a great tip because I've been guilty of this where I don't do the water, and it keeps cooking. By the time you get it onto the rest of the
mush.
it's soggy.
Yeah.
I never knew that. See, because I'm not Italian, so now I know. You gotta learn.
I love this pasta. See all the nice holes?
You gotta learn from the source.
It'll be all filled with lovely sauce and meat and yumminess.
Yes. I wish you could smell this. This smells so amazing. These mushrooms keep
jumping out of the pan,
escaping from Alcatraz. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not going to cook them too much because I like my mushrooms to be a little bit not mushy. I know they're called mushrooms, but they don't need to be mushy.
Okay. You're the boss.
Okay, so now we're ready to put some red sauce in there and add the meat back in.
Woohoo! Okay, how much are we going to pour in there?
I'll have to look up how many ounces.
That's about 3 cups. 2.5 cups. 3 cups. The full can. Was that a full can? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably the whole can.
That smells so good. That smells amazing.
Yeah, I don't do anything fancy, nothing with like basil or anything like that in it.
But the pesto sauce just brings out, I could smell it, the pesto and the
yeah, so if you get too many things going on, you got the sausage with the herbs, and then you get the herbs I put in, and then you don't want to do too much, so I just get very simple sauce.
Okay.
Now we're going to put the meat in, crumbled meat, and stir it all together, and then we're going to let it sit, and it's going to cook. Here, let's stir it a little bit here.
Okay. So you said your dad would make salads as well. So what would he do?
Well, what made him famous in the family and amongst our friends was his dressing. So we will be having that today too.
We will?
Yes.
Really?
Because I always have it handy, ready-made in the pantry.
Your dad is a baller. My God.
Yeah. So, but he would do all kinds of salads.
Wow.
But the dressing was usually the same. And it was very apple cider vinegar based with olive oil, regular oil, granulated garlic, oregano, salt, and pepper. That's all it is. Super, super simple.
Wow.
I tend to use a lot of green onions. I like mushrooms. So I think some Norchinis or Norchina, depending on how you pronounce it and where you get it, it's more meat based, but I like mushrooms and green onions, so I make it almost even, mushrooms and green onions with the meat. So we're just going to cover this and we're going to let it cook for a while.
Ooh, for how long?
A while. We'll have to come up with a time because I don't follow a recipe.
Should we go outside and just drink more wine?
Sure.
All right, let's go.